Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, Boruto episode 208 review. This episode right here had a lot of things in it, and of course it starts off with BoruShiki completely demolishing Boro in this episode right here. The scene of BoruShiki was extremely quick. It was probably about 2 minutes long, and I was kind of getting a little bit worried that it might actually drag out because of the fact that we weren't actually going to get much of chapter 43 adapted into this actual episode. But it turns out that nah, the Boruto writers didn't necessarily hold any punches. They made BoruShiki seem in the anime exactly how he seemed in the Boruto manga, and what it seemed like was that Boro in this rage form, supposedly might even be stronger than his original form, was absolutely no match for BoruShiki at all. Now in the actual battle, they portrayed BoruShiki exactly how I thought they'd portray him. The biggest thing about BoruShiki for me is the fact that he has the overall presence about him. Now the power boost that Boruto got from this BoruShiki form was absolutely insane. It was speed, strength, chakra, and of course a lot of the abilities from Momoshiki. One of the abilities that I would absolutely love Boruto to get would have to probably be the flying ability. Flying, in my personal opinion, is going to be so effective in the series of Boruto. Now the manga readers know exactly when the next time we're probably going to get to see BoruShiki again, but I'll be completely lying to you guys if I said I didn't necessarily want to see a supposed anime only fight with BoruShiki versus another character of actual substance that could actually challenge BoruShiki. Now of course that right there is just headcanon, but I don't know, I just don't want to wait that far until we get to see BoruShiki again. Manga readers, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But as I said, that portion was very small, and after the opening they started to adapt chapter 44. This is a complete surprise to me. Now they portrayed it exactly how it appeared in the Boruto manga. I think a lot of people are probably going to be a little bit disappointed because in the Boruto manga, Naruto says I'm alive, and it kind of made it seem like a very emotional moment for Naruto that he was actually alive, and they didn't necessarily bring that over to the Boruto anime. But in regards to the actual emotion display by Boruto, Hinata, Himawari, and everybody else in that particular scene, it was definitely spot on. Naruto in this episode definitely seems like he's like an Iron Man. He kind of slept for 2 days, also Sasuke as well, but after him and Sasuke got completely fondled by Jigen, they were good. Like they look completely fine. I mean, this right here just shows you how strong, how durable Sasuke and Naruto's bodies are. These guys are literal gods at this particular point, so it shouldn't necessarily be surprising. But let's be honest, just on a durability standpoint, I don't even think that 19-year-old Naruto and Sasuke would have been alive at this moment. Now even though in this episode after the battle there was a lot of time to actually feel good about them actually being alive, everybody seems like they're good, everybody seems like they're actually healing from their battle wounds, the Boruto writers still had their foot on the gas pedal because the introduction of Shikamara in this episode made everybody take a look at the overall bigger picture. Even though we're out of the woods right now, we're not completely done with the overall war. Now figuratively, war obviously is not necessarily the 5th Great Shinobi War, but the Kata organization out there, they're still looming, and of course we have to actually divulge a lot of the information, and a lot of the information was actually divulged in the specific episode right here. Now Shikamaru, as usual, was grilling Kawaki. I honestly think that Shikamaru and Kawaki are probably never going to see eye to eye. I think their personalities overall just clash. Never mind Shikamaru just flat out not necessarily trusting Kawaki. I think even when he gains full trust of Kawaki, they're probably still not going to like each other. But one of the biggest things that they did actually lay out was all the members in the Kata organization, and that all the members in the Kata organization were actually modified by the scientist Amato. And this bit of information was actually valuable to the manga readers as well. Kawaki doesn't really know all the abilities of Code and what he can actually do and how he was actually modified by Amato. But now after that scene was over, a very big emphasis was put on Boruto's karma seal and exactly what happened to Boruto during that actual fight. Kawaki took Boruto to the side to actually talk about the situation, but I think that the more interesting dialogue was between Sada, Mitsuki, and Sasuke. In that particular dialogue, they talked about a bunch of things regarding the karma seal. Not only Boruto potentially being taken over by Momoshiki in the future, but also the Ishiki and Jigen parallels, and also adding Kawaki in there as well. They talked about how Jigen probably laid the karma seal on Kawaki, but then Sasuke also brought up the very good point that Jigen himself seemed like he was actually being controlled by another entity in itself, which we all know at this particular point is going to be Momoshiki Otsutsuki. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly how they handle this in regards to the Boruto anime. When it comes to the Boruto manga, Sasuke moved, emotionally speaking, very quickly. It was damn near like a flip of a switch, and it seems like it's going to be in that situation right here. It's kind of difficult to explain it because I don't necessarily want to spoil a lot for the Boruto anime only readers, but let's just say that Sasuke emotionally moved very, very quickly. It took Naruto a bit to kind of warm up to the idea. It was just a very quick emotional shift for Sasuke, which is definitely in Sasuke's character. But I do want to see exactly how he rationalizes Boruto potentially actually being taken over by an Otsutsuki member in the Boruto anime. Is Sasuke going to have a second to reflect? He's going to sit down and reflect and think like, damn, we might actually really lose Boruto. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly how they handle that. Now, not only that, of course, I talked about Boruto and Kawaki talking about how they did actually enter the second stage of the Karma Seal. As we all expected, Boruto seemed like he was completely clueless. It seemed like he had no recollection of exactly what happened during that battle, and it wouldn't necessarily be anything too crazy to actually think about either, mainly because right before Momoshiki did actually take over, Boruto literally was passed out. So now in regards to anime, it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how Kawaki and Boruto handle knowing about the second stage of the Karma Seal. Are they going to try to actually enter this form knowingly and willingly in like a training session or something like that? I just want to see, because of course in the next couple of episodes we're going to be getting some anime only episodes. This right here is, I think, not necessarily going to be adapting the Boruto manga. We don't really know for sure, mainly because of course even this episode right here, we didn't really expect another chapter to be adapted into this episode right here, and they're kind of changing up the format a tad bit, mainly because of course they're saving a very big plot line for the future. They're not necessarily adapting full chapters anymore, they're adapting bits and pieces of chapters. So in regards to the upcoming episodes, they have a lot of leeway to actually add in a lot of anime only things, which I'm definitely going to be super excited to see. And of course, them talking more about the second stage of the Karma Seal would definitely be something that I would want to see. Now, the theme of the next episode was kind of started at the end of this episode right here, and it's pretty much Kawaki overhearing Shikamara talking about how Kawaki isn't necessarily to be 100% trusted in a situation like this, and you have to completely agree with Shikamara. Shikamara is thinking very, very logically. Naruto, of course, is moving quickly, mainly because he has a sort of emotional connection to Kawaki. He kind of sees himself in Kawaki a little bit, which he kind of explained earlier on in this series, but I still think that it's very good to be grounded in a situation like this and have a person in Naruto's ear like Shikamara. Even though we know deep down that Kawaki is not necessarily going to be doing anything too crazy, it's still kind of good to hear Shikamara out. But of course, Kawaki still kind of feels some type of way that everybody in the Hidden Leaf Village doesn't necessarily accept Kawaki the way that Naruto and all of the other Genin actually accept Kawaki. And of course, you can't necessarily expect everybody to accept Kawaki, but regardless, it still makes Kawaki feel a way. Now we're going to dive a lot more deep into Kawaki's feelings in the next episode. And of course, let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. Again, I said that BoruShiki's part, it was very, very much shorter than I thought it was actually going to be. Boruto episode 207 was much better than I thought it would be. I thought a lot of the events that happened in episode 207 would actually happen in Boruto episode 208, but 208 still, regardless, was a very, very good episode. I liked it a lot. Let me know what you guys think. It's me, your boy BoruShiki, and we out.
It's a knife.